Welcome to Unmasking Greatness. I'm your host, Chris Kakouras, a lifestyle fitness coach and mentor. This podcast is about unmasking your greatest potential, finding your purpose, and crafting a life worth living. Health and fitness has been the gateway drug to all of my success. My continuous drive to keep learning and surround myself with other high achievers forces me to level up, which has developed my mind to something I never thought was possible. This podcast is here to share what I've learned and continue to learn with all of you. This is your sign to take back control of your health, mindset, and personal environment. Strap in as we are recharged, and always, if you find value in the show, please subscribe and share as we can all get better together. Let's go. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Unmasking Greatness. I'm your host, Chris Kakouras, and I have one of the strongest individuals that has sitting on this couch yet, Mr. Brandon Jones.
Thank you for having me.
I need to have one of those buttons that like cheer. Yeah. So me and Brandon go way back. A matter of fact, back when I started my business in 2020, I was over at a gym in Spartanburg called the Firm Fitness. And at that time, I was growing my business, and then I was starting to look for trainers to work underneath me. And Brandon was actually already kind of working alongside of me. I was coaching him, getting him ready for a bodybuilding show. So it was just a really easy transition to have him because he understood our system. So that's kind of where we first met back then, just in a gym, just networking, talking. And, you know, a lot has changed within the past 5 years.
Wow. Yeah, it's been 5 years. That's crazy.
Unfortunately, he made me feel really old today. And I realized how young Brandon actually is. Yeah. So, Brandon, just hurt my feelings again. Tell me.
Yeah, so I'm 23 years old. And I met Chris when I was 18, like right out of high school. And that's when I wanted to be a bodybuilder at that time. So like Chris started coaching me and I was like sick. And then he brought me on the team and I was like sick. And then so, should we just go into like the bodybuilding?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think actually during that time, because I don't know if you was already graduated high school or you were. Yeah, because I think you had asked me about pursuing college for like a bachelor's in exercise science. And I tell anybody and everybody, like, do I regret going to college? I never want to say I regret anything, but that degree didn't do anything for me because I honestly believe a bachelor's in exercise science is a stepping stone for some sort of master's or a doctorate. Like if you want to be a physical therapist or occupational therapist or something of that magnitude of level, like then, you can use that as your baseline. But if you think that you're going to utilize that for strength and conditioning coaching or something like that, that's what I intentionally went for. I realized how much they get paid, and I realized that was probably not the best move financially for me. So anyways, I told Brandon not to do that. And I was like, why don't you get into some training and see if you like something like that and that style. So that's what we ended up doing. But when did you decide that you wanted to even pursue bodybuilding? Because you was already lifting, right?
Yeah, I was lifting for a while. I started lifting in middle school. That's where it all started. And my dad was a bodybuilder. And so it wasn't like, I just wanted to get in the gym. Like that's all it was. Like for some reason, I just loved the gym environment. I loved like the idea of training. That's all I wanted as a kid, like growing up. I remember when I was like 12, I was finally able to like go into the gym that I want, like, like go on the floor, gym floor. Like they were like anyone under 12 isn't allowed on the gym floor. And then when I was 12, I was like, I can go train. And like, that's all I wanted to do. That's all I thought about. And that was probably a sign. A sign that I was going to be like, submerge my life around it. But I guess when I was in like high school and stuff, I was pursuing football like pretty heavily. But I still love the gym. And I honestly, like thinking back on it, that low key hurt my football and stuff because it's like, it's two different styles of training. Like when I wanted to be a football player, like I wanted to go play college football, but like I was training like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Dude, that does not go hand in hand at all.
No.
That's probably why I was so slow. But no, but actually though, like, and so thinking back on it, I was like, dude, that was not smart. But then as I graduated and I was like, okay, I'm not going to go play collegiate football. I was like, I'm going to pursue bodybuilding and kind of like, I guess, follow my dad's footsteps, in a way. And I just like, I think that's when I met you and you started coaching me. giving me like the nutrition and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And where were we going with this? Because I could go into like the bodybuilding.
Well, yeah, no, let's talk about that because obviously coming from an athletic background, sure, your training, the intensity is different when you're training for football, but typically when you're playing, high school football, they're not really going heavy with nutrition. They're probably telling you like eat.
Yeah, they're just telling you to shove stuff down your. Yeah, they're just telling you to shove food down your throat. Yeah.
When I first started lifting, I didn't know anything, so I would ask the football players, what are you doing to get bigger? How do you build muscle? And from a workout standpoint, they were like 3 sets of 10. You're going to do flat bench, incline, and decline. And then they're like, obviously like your squats and stuff like that. And then from food, they are like, honestly, at the end of the night, I throw everything in a blender. Yeah. And you just pound it down. And it could be like ice cream, peanut butter. I mean, if you want to get real nasty, people are putting a slice of pizza in it. Mm-hmm. And I did. I tried it, and it was disgusting. And I will say that the shakes that they had me make were so dense. If you didn't chug it and get it down all in one shot, you wouldn't be able to finish it. Yeah. You really had to put it down. Do I suggest anybody do that now? Definitely not. No. But I say that to you just because, going from that to getting into bodybuilding, that's very like restrictive, rigid, repetitive. Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's all I knew, actually. So that's funny you bring that up because, like, coming from football, and I wanted to bulk before I cut. Mm-hmm. This is before I got with you, though. Yeah. This is before I got with him, but it was like, I was like, man, I need to put on size. And the only way I knew how was they would always just say, like, you need to be throwing, like, shoveling food. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, okay, now that I'm out of high school, like, I'm just gonna and I know that I want to bodybuild now. I'm gonna shovel food, and dude, I would eat every single meal like until I could. Like I would spend like an hour at the table, like just you know what I'm saying. Just like I couldn't finish it. I was literally shoveling like food down my throat, and I got up to like I think my heaviest was 217, and I'm like 5'7", 5'8". Like 217 is like
stout,
and that's when I was young too. Yeah, that's when I was young too. That's really stout, and I was like chunky. And so yeah, that's when I got with you, and we ended up losing 45 pounds.
Yeah. Actually, I might try to put I'll put the picture of the transformation that we did there because it was pretty insane. I mean, Brandon just has really good genetics naturally. I mean, you're already strong, and I think that's what made you do so well in the beginning is because you was already lifting. You already had a really good foundation. Right, yeah. And so when you're starting to lean down, you had the muscle that was already developed, and we just tried to work more on the detail and keeping that size. But so like kind of going into that whole experience, during this time too, and I always remember this because, I have a lot of conversations with a lot of trainers too. And I remember you going through prep, you did your show, and you were still training clients. And it was shortly after that you came down and you sat down in the office and you're like, Chris, I need to talk to you. And I was like, dude. Oh my God, no, don't do this. That conversation never starts good. He's breaking up with me. No, so, but yeah, he sat down and he was just like, Chris, dude, I love training. I love working out, but I am starting to lose passion on training myself by training other people. Mm-hmm. And, and that's cool, man. Like I honestly, like I appreciate that from you just coming and being honest with me because if you're not happy and enjoy doing what you're doing, like other people can tell, right? And then you just kind of be slacking and not caring too. But obviously, we kind of weaned everybody out, and we left on good terms. Obviously, you're still on the podcast right now. So, but I say that to say because training is not for everybody, right? And the last thing you want to do is sacrifice your happiness. If this is like a passion, if you love being in the gym and you always have, and it's starting to get robbed from you, then maybe this isn't the best move for you moving forward, which obviously you didn't decide you wanted to bodybuild either anymore. Yeah. So back to like the personal training, because like around the time that I started personal training was when I started prep for the show, my bodybuilding show. And so I was miserable, like from the cut, dude, let me say, like, I have so much respect for all bodybuilders. And I always say that. From this point, like I've always, like ever since that show, I was like, man, I respect bodybuilders so much. Like I really do. Because I stuck through it and I did that competition. But leading in, those like last 8 weeks, I was like, man, I hate, like if it didn't have anything to do with food, I didn't care about it. Like at all, dude. Like it's like zero. And
in-person training, like the personal training and me like having clients, you know, taking them around the gym, I was like, man, I hate this. And I was like, maybe I hate it because like I'm so like miserable right now from this diet.
Yeah.
And because it was like a severe, like I'm cutting like 45 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm obese or anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like super overweight. So it's like, this is getting down to like where I'm getting really lean. And so I was like, man, maybe I don't like this because of the cut. So like, let me just like get through this show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all my clients knew that because that's what we would talk about. But, and then after the competition, I was like, man, I still don't. I was like, I still don't like this. Like, and then like, I just started like, I just wasn't happy with like training people in person. And then that's when I was just like, man, I got it. Yeah. That's when I was like, I got to talk to you about it. But, yeah, I think, I mean, I guess this is like, that was like my transition into powerlifting though, too.
Yeah.
It's like right after that point.
Yeah. Well, I want to add to that too, because I think, you know, from an everyday normal person, you know, if you had to drop 15, 20 pounds, like you can kind of guesstimate that. But when I talk to competitors that are kind of new and they're like, yeah, I got about 20 pounds to lose. I'm like, you got about 30, 35. You know, realistically, like if you're trying to get that lean, you end up going a lot further than you even realize, you know, and I learned that with myself too. Cause I was like, I always kind of had like a little outline of some abs. Like I stayed in like decent condition all the time. And then when it was time to get in prep, I was like dropping hella weight. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, I'm like shriveling away. But there's just a lot more body fat on people than they even realize. So, you know, you suffering through that portion, you know, that last couple, you know, like you said, 6 to 8 weeks is probably like that last like 10 pounds.
Yeah, dude.
That we had to pull off.
And that was funny because I literally remember this because I was 4 weeks out and I sat on my bed and I was like, dude, I was like to the point of like, I was tearing up. Dude, it got, for me, I don't know why. I never told you this.
Yeah, no.
I don't know why. Dude, it made me so emotional. Like, cause like, I love food. Like, I'm a big foodie. So like, with me doing this, anybody can do this. Like, since I did, like, this proves that anybody can do this. But I sat on my bed one day and I was like, dude, like, I do not want to do that. I'm miserable right now. And I started tearing up. And then one of my buddies from the gym called me and like, he could just hear it in my voice. He just wanted to talk, but he was like, B, like, dude, what's going on? Like, what's up? And I was like, dude, I don't know if I could do this, man. I like legit. I was like, I don't know if I could do this, man. And he was like, dude, you are 8 weeks into this thing. You're almost like, you're literally 4 weeks away. That is like, before you know it, it'll be there. Like, why would you give up now? You tell me you're a quit. Like, and I was like, you know what? You're right. And it was partially that. And I didn't want to let you down. Yeah. Like, I was like, man, Chris is really like, you know what I'm saying, helping me out with this. I can't like let him down. And so after that point, I was like, no, I'm not going to like, that's not going to cross my mind again. We're going to stick it through. And that's what I did. But yeah, that 4 week mark was rough for me. That was like
that last dig.
Yeah, the last dig. Yeah.
But it's cool. I think that's something else people should realize too. Like if you are, I mean, not just competing in bodybuilding, but anytime you're doing something that's a little bit difficult or you really need someone to push you or hold you accountable, it's good to have that person that you don't want to let down. You know what I mean? Because if you have someone that's like your coach or someone that's like supposed to be holding you accountable and you don't care if you were to like, you know, make them upset or make them happy, then that's not really a good person for you to like really push you through some hard times. Right. But I'm sure you learned a lot about yourself during that time. Yeah, you do. Yeah, I feel like you learn a lot about yourself doing anything really hard. Yeah. I think that was like really valuable. I'm glad I did it though. I'm glad I did it because you will learn a lot about yourself. So what was the trigger that was like, okay, well, I'm going to close the chapter to bodybuilding. Was there a space or was it straight into like, actually, I'd just rather lift heavy? Because you was always strong.
Yeah, so I always lifted relatively heavy. Yeah. And so I always I like training heavy. I just love the idea of like lifting heavy weight. Probably another telltale sign. Yeah. But I was where I was going. But I always loved lifting heavy, and that's what I did when I bodybuilded. And it didn't like stop until those last like 6 weeks of when my body was just literally like, you can't lift heavy right now, dog. Yeah. And so I think after that bodybuilding show, I have a buddy, JJ. I don't know if you remember JJ. Yeah. Really strong kid. Yeah. And so we were friends, and that's who I would lift heavy with. And he was like, dude, why don't you just like, if you don't like bodybuilding, just go into powerlifting. And at the time, I thought of powerlifting as like this like grungy, like West Side barbell, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These pot belly, like equip lifting.
Yeah.
That's what my like thought, when I thought of powerlifting, that's what I thought. And so I was like, dude, I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be like a part of something like grungy and you know what I'm saying? But I like the idea of something being like, what's the word? Like prestigious and like something having some prestige behind it and like having some like a clean sport. Like I like the idea of like something like the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are like weightlifting in the Olympics. Like I like the idea of stuff like that. And then I found out like my federation, the one I'm in now, and where it could take me. And it was basically like our equivalent of the Olympics. Like we're not in the Olympics, but it basically gets you that point where you're competing against people across the world. And it was very prestigious. And I was like, I didn't know that existed. And that JJ was like, yeah, dude, that's what I do. And I was like, oh, I want to try that out. And so then there was like a little period where it was like, I know people don't like this term. People really don't like this term, but it's like power building. And that's what I was like.
Well, I told him that earlier today.
Yeah, people really don't like that term for some reason. But
choose what side of the fence you want.
Yeah, whichever side of the fence you want, doesn't really matter. I really don't have a strong opinion on it. It's just, that's what I called it at the time. And because I was basically all it was, the structure of it was like a powerlifting program with just a lot of accessories. That's literally what it was. Mm-hmm. Because I wanted to lift heavy, but I also wanted to, build muscle with doing a lot of volume and stuff. And so I would do like a lot of hypertrophy after my heavy sessions and stuff like that. Which like with powerlifting, which I guess the difference between that specifically and powerlifting training would be like your accessories are only, there to help your primary move, not to get you bigger. Yeah. Like unless you're a smaller lifter and we need to put, mass on your your chest and your frame just for you to bench more or something, that's when we will like load, hypertrophy. But other than that, like accessories are just to complement your main lifts, really. Like we're not. Like, I don't want to get bigger. Like, I have no desire to get bigger. If I get bigger, it's just going to make it harder for me to cut.
Well, yeah, because you're in a weight cap, right?
Yeah, and so I'm 205, and, like, I literally sit at, like, 207, 209, and I cut those, like, 4 pounds into 205 to compete.
Okay, yeah.
And so I really don't have a desire to get bigger. Like, it'd be cool if I did. I just don't want to have a harder weight cut.
Yeah.
And so, like, my accessories are just for me to, like, get stronger in my primary lifts. But, yeah, so I went into the power... Back to the the rant of the differences, but back to the power building. I did that for a little bit, and then I went into, and then after that, I think that led me into my first competition. And then when I did my first competition, I was like, dude, I fell in love with it. Like it was something about like, I don't know, it was weird because like it wasn't a lot of people there either. Okay. Like that was the first meet I did was the smallest meet I've ever done.
Is it local?
Yeah, local meet, very very small meet. Like literally the only people there, like spectators, were like family and like my mom and grandparents were there. Yeah. And that was pretty much it. And for some reason, I just loved it. I loved the idea of like getting in front of everybody and like lifting something really heavy. Yeah. And so after that, I was like, dude, I'm going all in. I want to see how far I can take it. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And so then I got into, I kind of started to make a roadmap for myself and where I wanted to end up. And I was like, dude, I want to end up at the top. I wasted, I wasted no time. I was like, I see the potential in myself. I feel like I can do this. Yeah. And so like, I kind of like paved the roadmap for myself, and I was like, okay, we're going to hit these milestones, and every milestone is like another like confirmation that we're, getting closer to my, main goal. And obviously I'm not at the top yet, but I've hit a lot of milestones, to where I am now. And so, I'm glad I did though, because like I'm a lot happier with like powerlifting. Yeah. I think it's for. I think like bodybuilding and powerlifting are like for specific. Like if you're a certain person, you're gonna like one or the other, more. Yeah. I don't think one's better than the other per se. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think it's a personal preference. I mean, I
do think it's personal preference.
Competitive, but I will say this: I think it's cool that you're creating like this roadmap of like landmarks to know that you're going in the right direction. Because, with you creating something like that, you probably are looking at, the top athletes that are lifting, X amount of weight. Right. Because you gotta hit these lifts and you gotta get cleared and say that they're all good lifts, clean lifts. Bodybuilding's not like that, dude. Like you're constantly like building your body, building a physique. Hopefully you're building it the way that you want to look like because you got to walk around like that.
Yeah.
But from a competitive standpoint, and you knew this, it's very subjective.
Yeah.
You know, it always comes down like, sure, there's criteria, they're on a point system. But at the end of the day, these other people, your judges are going to dictate who's going to be first, second, third.
Right.
You know, so it's not a clear-cut win, you know, versus like, hey, if somebody lifts 500 and someone hits 600, well, 500 look better. We'll do 500. Like it doesn't work like that, you know?
I never thought about that. I'm glad you brought that up because it is really like that. And like that is one thing that I like about powerlifting though, actually, is like if you lift more, like you're going to win. Like it's, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's objective. Like you're going to win. Like if you lift more weight than him, you're going to be first. That's why I do like that about it because it leaves it for no question. I guess you could argue like because there's 3 judges when you lift, and so like you can like squat high and they won't count it, and that squat, although you missed it, would have made you win. Gotcha. But like that's the only time it could become like subjective. Yeah. But even then, like if you lift the standard, like you'll be fine. Like that's what I can't stand. Man, I can't stand when people complain about, you know, like they held they held me at the bottom really long, like or something along the lines of like the judges, and it's like if you train to standard, and then you go compete at standard, you should be fine for the most part. Like I've never had an issue with anything as far as like the judges when I've competed. So like that's why I could say that.
Yeah. Well, no, let's talk about that. So I first want to read off some of your stats here because this is really impressive. So again, under 205 is the weight cap, correct?
Right.
So your personal best as of right now. And this is raw. Raw meaning what? Explain that.
So raw basically means on your squat you can have knee sleeves, and the knee sleeves aren't like. Be honest, you're not going to get a crazy like boost from the knee sleeves. They're better than like they're better than nothing. They're not like the knee wraps.
Yeah,
the
wraps.
Like the wraps, you could probably add like 100 pounds to your squat. But like no, legit, it's crazy. But like the knee sleeves, you're not getting a crazy boost from it, but they do help. And so it's like you get knee sleeves and wrist wraps, and that's basically what raw is referred to.
So no belt.
And belt, sorry, and belt. Yeah, yeah. But belt is just to help. Some people don't wear a belt for deadlift. Most people wear belts for squat. Yeah. Just because it with the weight in your back, it helps you brace. Yeah. And the people that don't wear it for deadlift is so they can hinge better and they can get a better range of motion to the bar. But raw is like equipped lifting is like where they're putting on the suits and they're they have this like slingshot for the bench. It's literally making them lift 200 to 300 pounds more than they would, without all of it.
You ever put a suit on?
No, I would never.
I was like,
dude, I'm like the most like anti-equipped.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why get why they do it.
Yeah.
They do it because like they just enjoy lifting that heavy weight. Like whether they wouldn't otherwise have been able to lift, without putting the stuff on. So I get it. Like you get to move weight you'll never be able to do without that equipment. But I just don't like. Like I said, the grungy side. That's more on the grungy side. I'm not with the grungy side.
So wrist wraps, straps or no straps? So like you have to hold on to the bar.
Oh no, yeah. Oh yeah, no straps. So no.
Yeah, dude, that's impressive.
No,
so I'm gonna read this off too because one, I wanted to be clear on that one so you guys understand like the strength behind this. But your squat is 716.5 pounds. Your bench is 485. Deadlift is 733. So a total of 1934.5.
Right.
Dude, try to pick up over 700 pounds, just straight grip strength, bro. Like I can't grip that. Even if my legs and back and everything was strong enough, I guess you would build up to that. But dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, believe it or not, my deadlift is actually my worst lift. Like, like compared to other lifters, especially in my weight class.
Yeah.
My deadlift is like by far the worst. It's like sounds crazy, like anybody, like just
where should it be? Let me ask that.
It needs to be like an 800.
Okay, so you're close.
Yeah. Well, on that day specifically, the reason I'm not like right there or anything, but like I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But the reason I say like I'm closer than I think I am is because on that day, that 733 flew. And so I was like, I had like 17 more pounds on me. I had 750 that day, but we just didn't load it because it was like the goal was to get the highest total possible. And at that point, I haven't touched anywhere past that. And so it's like even 733 was like, all right, now we're shooting in the dark. Gotcha. So like it was kind of like, okay, we're gonna load this number. I'm pretty positive you can get it. Let's just make sure we get it. And so even though I could have done 750, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
We didn't even know we were good for 733 until we did it. And so it was like we kind of had to gauge, and that's kind of the game you have to play when you haven't been there before.
Yeah. What's a total amount of weight that would, I guess, consider you be like the best of the best? Just to kind of gauge like how far off you are, because you're up there, dude. I mean, you're up at the top ranks, right?
Yeah. So I placed 6th in Open Nationals 2 months ago, or about a month and a half ago, and so that's 6th in the nation as far as like all like age groups. I'm still technically a junior this year, but I wanted to go compete against them, and so I'm placed like 6th right now. But I wasn't competing against them. It was like with me doing that, it was kind of a strategic. I'll try to explain this as easy as I can, or like as simple as I can. But so I competed at Junior Worlds last year, and that's for ages 19 to 23, which this is my last year in the junior division. But Worlds is basically like our Olympics. We do it every year, but it's basically like our that's what, if we were in the Olympics, this is who would be in the Olympics, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I competed at Worlds last year, and then I'm trying to get back there this year, but now I have more competition in the U.S. And so these guys are like, I mean, dude, it can easily be at Worlds, if all 3 of us in the U.S. went, it would literally be like 1, 2, and 3, like from the U.S. Like the U.S. is very hard to get out of.
Dang.
Just because like now everyone from all the federations are like, okay, we want to go to Worlds too. Like this is where all the prestige is. And so everyone's coming into the Powerlifting America to where we can go into the IPF, which is the International Federation. And so everyone wanted to do that. And so now this year, there's just a lot more competition. And so those guys we're also doing Open Nationals. And so I was like, okay, that's perfect. I'd love to go head to head with you. And just because I love competition, man. I just love the smoke. I really do. And so like that gets me going. That gives me something to fight for. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're going to walk into a competition, it's just like a cakewalk. That's not fun. No one wants to watch that. You don't want, like, you can't even get hyped up to lift in it because it's like, oh, I know I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Like you want something to like, I can lose this. And like that gives you that bite. And so I was glad he was doing it. So that was like my one thing. And then the other thing is like, Worlds will be in September. And that gives me more time to prep for Worlds, since it's in September. And then Junior Nationals is like next month. And so it's like, I would have like a month and a half more prep than I would if I would do Junior Nationals. And so that's why I did Open and play 6. Because I could have went in, I mean, obviously they're going to compete in there too, but I don't want to say I would have went and won it. But I would have had a better chance of winning Junior Nationals than Open Nationals by far, because those are like, obviously, 23 and up. That's all ages, or any age, anybody can do Open. But yeah, so I placed 6th in Nationals, and then right now I'm ranked number 1 junior in the nation until obviously Junior Nationals happens.
Yeah. And
they have to beat my total though, so they have to. And I set the bar pretty high. Well, I think, but as far as I know, you mentioned the numbers, dude. I know it's gonna sound confused. I only think in kilos. But regardless, it's still going to be like, I'll calculate it in pounds, but in kilos.
Because like 2.2, you like multiply by
2.205, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so in kilos, I totaled 877.5 at Nationals. And so in pounds, that's like total. That's what's a total is like your squat, bench, and deadlift combined, the numbers combined.
Yeah.
And so 870.
Yeah, I would have told you.
That's 1934 in pounds. Okay. But the best are doing like 920 right now in my weight class. And so 920, that's who won Open Nationals.
All right.
And so that's 2028 pounds for a total. But right now I have the national. Wait, no, I'm not sure. Let me not speak. I'm not sure. So let me not even say it. Somebody's gonna be like, oh.
But I think that could be like really strategic, right? Because they're totaling up your bench, squat, and deadlift. So you kind of mentioned like your deadlift is one of your weaker movements. Yeah. So do you think like, okay, well, I need to increase to 200 pounds to be better. So maybe I can just add 20, 30 to deadlift and then focus more on my stronger lifts to build that total up?
Right. Yeah. So that's actually, So there is some strategy behind it. I'm at a huge disadvantage because I don't have a good deadlift, because you deadlift last. And you lift in the order of basically weakest to heaviest, or like lightest to heaviest. Okay. And so when you're going through the flight, the heaviest deadlifter is going to go last. So he puts in a number that's like, okay, I see what they've done. I can put in a number that's like a pound over and I win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the benefit of deadlifting last. And I never like, I mean, hopefully one day I'll have that advantage, but like for a while I'm not going to have that advantage because they're just going to deadlift more than me.
Yeah.
But at least for now. But what makes it hard for me is like, dude, if I don't hit I got so much relying on my squat that if I don't hit my third squat, dude, and if they hit everything, we're cooked. We're done. Because like I have so much weight, relying on that squat.
Gotcha.
That if I don't get through that, and then like it's another psychological thing, because if you go 2 for 3 on squat and you miss your heaviest squat, and it's like, like, and this guy hit all his squats, like even though you're ahead now, when you get to deadlifts, he's going to pull more than you, and so it's like, dude, you're just like at that point, you're just like, man, if he doesn't miss, I lose. Yeah, like pretty much. You can do your best day after that. You can nail everything to a T, and if he hits all of his attempts, you'll lose. Like so that's why it kind of sucks. Like if you don't go 9 for 9 and hit all your attempts, you're in a bad spot if you don't, being like I guess like you could say I'm a subtotal specialist because like my
subtotal specialist.
Yeah, because my squat and bench is fairly good, but there is some strategy behind it and how they go about it, and you could win from strategy though.
Oh, for sure.
If you play it smart, you could win. You could win off that. But
well, I want to touch on too I ran into Brendan at a sushi restaurant. And so I do want to kind of touch real quick on your lifting style now, and also a little bit on like more any sort of supplements, because again, you guys are an all natural league. So I want to touch on that. So let's start with training, because when I met him at the restaurant, when I told him to come do the podcast with me, it's at the gym. I was like, so if you want to train, we can, or if not, and you're like, well, let's do it on a rest day. So I'm not like completely gassed, because you told me that you're training for 3 hours?
I'm not proud of it.
Dude, please like explain. Well, I will say I can attest, because back when I used to do, when I was incorporating more squats and deadlifts especially, it takes a chunk of time. Right. Even when I was doing bodybuilding, me doing deadlifts was at least a good like 25, 30 minutes of time, just resting, loading, working up to my top set, and then doing my accessories. So in a 3-hour time, what are you guys doing? So, do you eat in between that time too?
That's a funny way to put it. I'm speaking for myself.
Okay.
I just want to
Okay. No, so this is not common?
No, it is common actually. Okay. It is common, but I'm speaking for myself because I know some people can go in there and be like, well, I power lift and I only spend an hour and a half in the gym.
Yeah, but you ain't the best. And you ain't hitting numbers like this.
And I'm like, I promise you, I wish I could do that. I wish, I'm serious. I wish I could go in the gym and be like an hour and a half and be gone and be done with it. But I just can't. I tried to, especially right now, after we figured out, because if you get like a powerlifting coach, it's going to take a while for them to figure out, your body, just like dieting. Like it takes you a while to figure out how your body works and what works for your body and like how to make you stronger. And so, after like in the past, I was able to get like an hour workout with one of my sessions, but now with my bench, my volume is so high. I have 8 sets of bench, like some days. Like it's like on my primary days, 8 sets, secondary days, 7 sets, and tertiary days, 8 sets. And so it's like, dude, I am pressing a lot of, and the intensity's high too.
Yeah.
And so it's not only is the volume high, the intensity is really high. And so it's like, I'm doing 2 sets of 1 at RP 8, which is like, RPE is basically like, people who don't know, it's like, basically how difficult is this set on a scale from 1 to 10? That's basically RP. That's like, in a nutshell, obviously you could go into more detail about it, but in a nutshell. And so from 1 to 10 is like an 8. So it's pretty heavy. Yeah. I'm doing 2 sets of that, 2 sets of 1, and then subtracting 6%, doing 2 sets of 1 of that. And then I have 4 sets of 5. And then in my secondary is 4 sets of 8 with 330 pounds. 4 sets of 8. Yeah. 4 sets of 8 with 330. Yeah. And then with the 4 sets of 5, it's 370. I'll do 370 with that typically. And so it's like, try going with a 2-minute break or 1-minute break right back into that. I failed one day because I tried to go too fast.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, dude, we got to keep it moving. Like, I want to keep this under, that day I was like, I want to keep it under 2 hours. And so I was like moving, and I got under the bar, and I failed. And I was like, dude, I've never failed. I was like, am I getting weaker? And I was like, no, I was just trying to I just sped it up so fast that I couldn't recover fast enough. And so I literally have to take I need to start timing it. But I
was going to ask you, do you time it? Is it because, I would say the standard for people that are lifting that kind of load is 3 minutes, 3-4 minute.
Yeah.
When it comes to squats or deadlifts and even bench press, I guess as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember even still, that's why I figured, I didn't know. That's why I'm asking you,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously how many sets, how long you're resting, because when you're lifting that amount of weight, you can't just go straight into a working set.
No, man.
Your elbow's going to rip off. So.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's with that volume, especially with the 4 sets of 8, it's I'm building I have so much blood in my chest. There's so much fatigue that I have to take 7, 8 minutes, 10 minutes sometimes to get back to okay, I'm good to go. Because I want to hit that set at the weight. I don't want to lower the weight.
Yeah.
Which I guess some people are just lower the weight, man. I'm trying to get strong as possible.
Yeah, it's just training specifically for what you're trying to hit.
Exactly, and that's another thing. You have to train specific to what you want to do. Yeah. Do you want to get a better body, or do you want to get as strong as possible?
Yeah.
And my goal is just to get as strong as possible. I care about what I look like to an extent.
Yeah.
But really, that's not my goal. I don't care. I want to be the best at, lifting a certain amount of weight at my weight class. And so that's what I revolve the gym around, and that just happens to take me. And I will say, even though it takes me 3 hours, some days, especially Saturdays, mm-hmm. that's when everybody's off work and everyone goes in at the same time. Okay. So now yapping's involved.
Yeah.
And so so you can finish a heavy set, and now before you get to your back downs, you've talked for 30 minutes. And so
yeah.
And so go ahead and add that to the time that you're there.
Well, everybody, even normal people do that.
But yeah, exactly. Even normal people do that. And so, but it just doesn't help when you're trying to lift a certain amount of, or when you're already in there for that long, it really doesn't help,
Yeah. So do you have any rituals for going in heavy? Are you listening to certain music? Do you do the salts, the smelling salts?
Yes. Yeah. So actually, I try to stay away from the smelling salts unless it's my heaviest week of training, my heaviest day of training. And we have blocks. They're called blocks. And so my blocks are 4 weeks long. And at the end of the block is when you go the heaviest on your lifts.
Okay.
And so I won't use smelling salts until I'm on week 4. And so my heavy, because smelling salts you can get kind of diluted. What's the word?
It's you get used to it?
You get used to it. Yeah. And so when you take it too much, the effect won't be as effective on you.
Got it.
And so I want that boost when I go my heaviest. And so I don't touch it until that week 4. And
how much does that help?
More than you think. Dude, I'm not even joking. More than you would think.
Oh my God.
And
I've smelled it one time, not even lifting. Someone was like, dude, smell this.
Yeah.
And dude, it hits you like a truck.
Yep.
But I'd never tried lifting with it because I was like, dude, I don't even know if I could focus the lift.
There is science behind it, actually.
Yeah.
So they did studies on it, but I don't really know the details of it. But I know that there's it's actually studies that shows that it does help you improve your lifting. It's supposed to be you take it and within the next 6 or something seconds, mm-hmm. you have to be lifting. That's not the case for me because I 30 seconds of getting under the bar and getting set up. But dude, quick story about the first time I ever used them. First time I ever used them, I was like 19. I was like 19 at the time, and I wanted to deadlift 500. Yeah, I think it was like 500 on the bar. And before the smelling salts, I couldn't get it off the ground. And I'm not exaggerating. And obviously my form was probably horrible at the time. I can't remember exactly what it looked like. I don't have a video. But I couldn't get it off the ground. And I was like, dude, and he was like, try these smelling salts. And try it again. And I was like, you serious? And he was like, yeah. I was like, all right. Keep in mind, I have like straps. I have straps on, and like, I'm not that advanced of a powerlifter at the time. And I take the smelling salts. Dude, I did it for 6 reps.
So went from not lifting it at all, not one time, to 6?
To 6 reps. I know that sounds ridiculous, and I don't think I completed the 6th rep, but I was just like, and this is with straps, and my form was probably atrocious. I'd probably throw up if I saw my form from back then. But I don't know how I did that, but I hit the salts for the first time, and I was able to do it for 6.
They're straight fight or flight.
I don't know if I just like, thinking back on it, I can't believe that I couldn't get off the ground. There had to have been something wrong there. Like thinking back on it, I was like, dude, I had to have been able to get off the ground.
Well, then I wonder, does that help you psychologically with like a mental block, right? Because when you start putting like another plate on, mentally you're like, that just looks heavy. So I wonder if that's kind of like self-sabotaging from a subconscious standpoint. So doing the salt, going from nothing to, 5, 6 reps, you're like, oh yeah, I can at least do this 1 or 2 times on my own.
Yeah. And so it does give you that, like, it wakes you up, dude. And that's what they use when like people are like, passed out or whatever. Like they use that ammonia is what it is. Yeah. That's what smelling salts is. And so they'll use it to wake people up because like it, shoots you up. But so I'll use that on week 4s. But pre-workout, I guess that's also like depending on you as a person. Some people don't. I know people that are really strong that don't use it.
Okay.
I wish I didn't, but dude, I freaking love pre-workout, man.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
And I know that's the thing with bodybuilders too. I did it when I was bodybuilding, but dude, just something about just drinking pre on the way to the gym. The ritual of that is just what I love. Mm-hmm. And so like, I could probably train without it. Like if I had the placebo of it, if I just like poured some like, some carbs in a drink and started drinking it, I'd probably still have a similar effect. But I just love I love the beta alanine though too. The tingles you get from the pre-workout. Yeah. I love like feeling it build up as I get to the gym. Like I'm like, all right, now we're ready to go. But I was going to talk about, I don't know if you wanted me to talk about, because when I do go heavy, and this also plays really heavy into competition, like leading in to like lifting, knowing you're about to lift a heavy session, like what I eat before then. No, because it's really, for me, I know some people don't take it serious. Dude, I find it's night and day. Like if you one, you're going to lift really heavy this day. It's your week 4. It's your primary day. It's your heaviest session of all training or a competition. If I know I'm going to have to lift heavy, I will intake so many carbs. The day before, like before I go into the session, I need to track it one day to see how many carbs I actually intake.
I was going to ask if you do track it or not.
No, I don't track it.
So what do you have go-tos? Like go-to things that
Yes. So, God, I have a list, man. But really, it's just what I'm feeling at the time. It's different. It'll change up. If I'm feeling dried mangoes, I'll eat dried mangoes. If I'm feeling pretzels, I'll eat pretzels. Yeah. But the main thing, the most effective thing that I found is either a bagel, but then from the bagel, I switched to just white bread and just like inhaling white bread. And just like, you inhale white bread. It used to be pretzels for me. So I would inhale pretzels. And then I would take, obviously, liquid carbs are going to be easier to like get down. And so I think one time I did a bunch of orange juice, but then I don't want to do juice, per se on the day of. So I'll just do like, recently I've been doing Gatorade powder. Okay. So I'll do like 2 or 3 scoops of Gatorade powder and it's like just downing it. And that's like 60. That's like 88 grams, I think. I could be wrong. 88 grams of carbs in that one. It's like 1.5 liters. Yeah. And then electrolytes, I'll do a trial, which is like a 1.6 grams of sodium and like a bunch of other electrolytes, or an element, which is like 1 gram of sodium. I'll throw that in the mix. It's like a little concoction. And then on top of that, I'll use liquid glycerol. And so I'll put liquid glycerol in there, which is like...
Really?
Yeah. And I know liquid glycerol is like, you want to get a pump.
Yeah.
But with liquid glycerol, it helps your, like the primary function is like it helps your like, I don't know like the exact science behind it, but like
flow.
Yeah, it basically helps you absorb what you're like, the electrolytes and like the carbs. It helps you absorb it better.
Yeah.
And so although it does help you get a pump for bodybuilding, that's like which I would use it for. Mm-hmm. For me, it's going to help my muscles like get all those carbs, get all those electrolytes, like absorb the stuff that I'm wanting to put in. And so I'll put liquid glycerol in there, and then that's like my little concoction. I'll shake that up, and I'll start drinking that, and then like I said, I'll just like be inhaling. On the day, I won't eat as much protein either. So like I don't want to fill up. I want to fill up my stomach with carbs. I don't want as much protein. So I'm not going to eat as much protein that day. If it's a meat day, I'm not eating any protein. Like that day, like it's just going to be carbs. But if I'm training or something, I'll eat protein that morning. Yeah. But for lunch, I'm not going to have much protein at all. It's just going to be carbs. And then rice too. You could do rice, but those are just my go-tos and what I'll do. But dude, I just inhale it. And then you go into the training session, you feel like $1 million, man.
I'd love for you to track that. I'm just curious. I talked to someone that was doing Ironman one time, and they used to down like a gallon of apple juice for like carbs, and do like pastas and stuff like that. But the last thing I would want is like have an upset stomach when you're trying to like exert yourself.
Yeah, that's why you kind of want to like, I guess I say back test it. Test it in training.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm scared to do juice. Because I don't know. I just don't think it would sit well on like drinking a ton of it before I lift.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of carbs in it, but like the intra workout that I use and the Gatorade stuff, I know sits well with me when I train.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, I'm comfortable with using that before I train, and drinking like literally like a liter or two or a gallon before I train. I know that'll sit well in my stomach. You kind of have to play with your body though too, like and see what works.
Yeah. Do you know how much you're eating on a regular daily?
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess we could also go into like that, but I'm eating around like 3,300 to 3,400 calories a day.
I thought it'd be more.
Yeah.
I mean, I
could eat more, yeah. But I could definitely eat more. Don't get me wrong. I could definitely eat more, but it's like I also don't want my
your weight to go up.
Yeah, I don't want my weight to go up.
Which is also really cool because like I would think that's probably like a little bit in a surplus of what you need, maybe, but even still, it's impressive to see that you're still able to get stronger. Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I just got to shovel it. I got to shovel. I got to get my weight has to go up for me to get stronger, which is not true for you. You're kind of holding a good steady weight, and
right. And I've gotten a lot stronger at this weight because I've been this weight since I was 19, 18. Or more than it. So like at this weight,
you're bigger than the last time I saw you, though.
Well, I've maintained it, I guess. But yeah. So I really don't know. I've thought about pushing it and just seeing what happens. I'm just scared. I just really don't want to get heavier, man. Because like the scary thing because like right now all I have to do is gut cut, and that doesn't affect your strength at all. If you gut cut into a meet, you're good. You're going to be right back to where you were.
Yeah.
But like I feel like after a certain point of gaining weight, if I get past like 215 or something, now it's like not just gut cut. You're going to have to water cut, and you have to cut calories leading into your meet.
Yeah.
And so it's like I don't want to have to do the water cut and the calories, the sodium and pulling out. I don't want to have to do all that.
Yeah, I think your strength will go down at that point.
Yeah, it will affect your performance in the meet day. Like some people it affects differently. The cut affects people differently, but I just don't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I like the gut cut. I like just having the gut cut and going to a meet because I feel the same. Some people come into a meet, they're feeling depleted and feeling smaller. I don't want to feel smaller. I want to feel like me.
Like a monster.
Yeah, like I want to feel like a monster. I want to feel like I'm about to like destroy this weight, not like questioning myself because I feel, tiny.
Yeah. Well, they weigh you, I'm assuming, before you start loading.
Yeah, so with my federation, they weigh you 2 hours before.
Okay.
Before you lift.
Oh, 2 hours?
2 hours. That's another thing.
So you're inhaling bread and all that stuff literally 2
hours before you lift, yeah.
Oh, dude.
So
I definitely would have stuck with the juices and stuff probably.
So the thing with squat, I kind of have to be careful because like obviously you don't want to feel like like insanely bloated when you're squatting. So like I'll know my body will like, all right, bro, you stop. And so I'll stop. But like for bench, you want that feeling. You want to feel bloated. You want to feel like, really big for bench because you want to like for some reason it just helps to feel bloated for bench. And I wear a belt too for bench, so it also like helps like, with my bracing and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's 2-hour weigh-ins. And I know with the other federation, which is USPA, they have 24-hour weigh-ins. And so they can go crazy on their cuts because now they have a whole night's sleep and a whole 24 hours before they have to lift, before they have to, worry about anything. But for us, it's like 2 hours, which makes it hard, but I like it though. It makes it harder, but I like that it makes it harder. Like I like that stuff because it makes it more prestigious to me.
Yeah, no, it's a lot more detailed.
It makes it more difficult.
Yeah, because even I want to add this, because you are drug test. I was asking Brandon how that works out because in bodybuilding, honestly, dude, like even if they tested you, you could take something in the off season, come off, go into a prep not taking anything, and it would show that you're not doing anything. I mean, maybe a polygraph test, maybe, unless you're really good at conditioning your mind to convince yourself, which is definitely possible too. But they can just show up to your gym anytime they want and just test you on the spot, which is wild, dude. And
I will clarify, so like they can pull up to your, like they made me put in the gym that I train at and what time I usually train. And they haven't pulled up to my, I know they've done it to people though. Yeah. They pulled up to people, but like I think that's just like if you're winning worlds, like if you're like the number one in your weight class or number 2 in your weight class, I think they'll do it to you. But like anything below that, I think they're not going to like waste the resources to go out there and test you because you're not taking the first spot from anybody. So like
that makes sense.
I think they only do that to like the first person in the weight class, like the one that's winning. But other than that, they'll test you. They'll take you out of, like after you compete, they'll take you and be like, hey, you're getting tested, and they'll have a person beside you, and that person will not leave your side until you're tested. They've done it to me that I think my third or fourth competition.
That's awkward.
They were like, yeah, that was the first. I think that was the second time I got tested, but that person was beside me, and they're like, you take your time, take pictures, whatever. I just can't leave your side until you're tested. And I was like, okay. I hope you're fine because like I got pictures to take. They're really cool though.
Yeah.
But obviously, like you said, with bodybuilding, people can like know they understand it very well, and so they can like know how to cycle off of it leading into their competition to where even if they did get tested, they wouldn't get busted or they wouldn't nothing would pop up. And that does kind of concern me with like, because I know, dude, there's somebody that does that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, there's somebody that does it. There's somebody that understands it well enough in powerlifting that they're like, I'm going to compete tested, but I'm going to do this and they're not going to catch me and they can get away with it. But I don't think that's the person that's in first though.
Yeah.
Because I think the person in first would have gotten busted, but like, and if they're doing it, they're not, it might suck, for like local meets and like for people going and, potentially winning local meets if somebody does that.
Yeah.
But like on the big scale, I don't think anybody on the like top is doing that by any means.
I got you.
Because I think they would have got busted. But I do think that people do that probably.
I'm sure. There's always going to be people like that.
There's always going to be somebody that tries to find a way to cheat the system. But like they're cheating the system and they're still not.
yeah, and they're still not at the top. Sucks for y'all.
Yeah. So that says
drugs can't even help you.
That says a lot though, because like the people at the top, like they're dogs, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's super cool. So kind of finish up. I know you gotta get out of here too, but I guess the question too for you to kind of like close it out too is you chose this federation for a reason because it's the prestige one. What's kind of next for you in the next like 5 to 10 years? Do you see a career in this, or is this more of a platform for you to expand into doing something else on your own? Have you thought about that? Because dude, you're young, man. I didn't know what I was doing at your age. So
yeah. So like, there's not much money in it, to be honest. Like the only people that can live strictly and the only people that could live strictly off of like powerlifting are like literally the ones at the top. Like number one, you know what I'm saying? It's very similar to bodybuilding. Like,
is that from comp money or sponsorship money?
Both.
Okay.
And so like, there's probably, I could count on my hand, like probably like 1 or 2 people or like a couple people that are making like, have probably made like $100,000, in a year from competing in sponsorships alone. But ideally, obviously, I'd love to get to the point. There's a meet called Sheffield,
Okay.
to where like the prize money is growing each year. I think it was like 50 grand.
Okay.
Last year, but like they're trying to. That's like the like mecca. So like there's Worlds, and then there's Sheffield, and it's like right there.
Okay.
Sheffield's really interesting, but that's like the money meet, and so obviously in the next like 5 years, I'd love to get to Sheffield, because what Sheffield is like the number one person in each weight class go and compete against each other, and so like number one person in the world, like if you win Worlds, you get a ticket to Sheffield. And so that's basically how you get to Sheffield, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so like all the people that won Worlds now go compete against each other. And so dude's sick. Like I love the concept of it.
It's like best of the best.
Yeah, best of the best, like running it. And so like, yeah. I love the idea of Sheffield. So like, yeah, then you go compete, and I think almost everybody walks out with money. I'm pretty sure like the prize pool is a lot, but I think first place is like 50 grand. But obviously I'd love to be there within the next 5 years or so. But there's also like sponsorship money. So like you could get on salary for companies, and a company like SBD.
Hey. Coincidentally.
Yeah. So I am sponsored by SBD. I'm not getting salary yet. But what I love about them is it's performance based. So majority of it's performance based. So if you're really good and you win Worlds, they're going to pay you a salary. Like basically. And so like I know a lot of companies, a lot of supplement companies are just like, dude, if you have a huge following, and you got like, you know what I'm saying? If we think that you can make us money, we'll pay you.
Yeah.
If you promote our product, we'll pay you. And so that's not how they work. And I don't have a huge following by any means. But that's why I like about SBD, because I don't have to have a huge following. I just have to be good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It is. I mean, bodybuilding, or even in the content creation world now, you got to have a following. You got to make a business money for them to want to pay you.
Right.
It's not about being like the best athlete anymore, which kind of sucks, man. You know,
it does kind of suck. I wish. That's what I didn't like about bodybuilding though either, because I was like, dang man, even if I like, I'd have to win Mr. Olympia to like get these sponsors.
I know. Now, listen, I know people that are making livings off of bodybuilding sponsorships, right? But I also know people that have been on the Olympia making like $200 a month in gear. You know what I mean? So it's like, it really comes down to like your social media following, what you can push. It doesn't, being on the Olympia stage has got to be a personal goal, not a financial movement for you. I mean, it's just that's why I ask you with powerlifting, because bodybuilding itself is a good platform for exposure, but bodybuilding will not pay you.
No. Yeah. I like that you said that. It is a good platform for exposure. And I think powerlifting can be that if you don't have any exposure at all. But we're so niche that like I'm sure a lot of people don't know what Sheffield is. Like if you're in the powerlifting, if you're if you're in the powerlifting niche, you know what Sheffield is. But I think like a lot of the guys that are like really well known in the powerlifting sport are bringing people to powerlifting, not the other way around. They're not getting publicity from powerlifting. They're bringing people to powerlifting. Like people like Russell Orhe or like people with just like huge followings, Yeah. They're honestly bringing people to powerlifting and making it a bigger sport, which like I would love to be. Honestly, I would love to be there at some point. Honestly, I need to just post more. But and that's like I'm self-aware. I know I don't post that much, but if I could like eventually get to the point where like I have that following, that would be sick. I'd love to bring people to the sport, make it a bigger sport. That's like ultimate goal. If I was able to do that, I'd be happy like hanging it up, knowing I made it a bigger sport. You know what I'm saying?
Heck yeah. Well, I know you were doing. Are you still doing YouTube? You were for a little while.
Yeah, I actually got a YouTube video about to drop because I just won a combo rack last weekend.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And so I made I did it. I went and won a combo rack. I feels bad because like it was just like a local meet that was basically giving out a combo rack for the first place prize. And I knew that like based off the roster, I was like, dang, I think I could win this meet. And it's pretty like it's in Atlanta. It's like 2 hours away, so like I could drive back with the combo rack. And so I signed up, and I signed up and won. And going back, like I couldn't get motivated for it. Going back to what I said about like having competition.
Yeah.
And like I remember when I was like winning the combo rack, I was like, man, I'm just doing this just to going through the motions.
Yeah.
So that's why I love competition.
Yeah. So you want the combo.
But so I won a combo rack, and I basically made a YouTube video about it. I'm still editing it. Probably post it today or tomorrow.
Okay.
But no, self plug.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Plug myself in. But so I do YouTube, and I know we talked about TikTok. I have a pretty big TikTok following.
Yeah.
Which I honestly think TikTok followers don't matter. I think you could have 0 followers on TikTok and post good content and make, go viral and be effective. I think the content matters on TikTok more so than the following, which on Instagram, I think which still content matters, but like I think it's the other way around.
Yeah. Instagram is different.
Instagram, because it'll feed the content to your feed. With TikTok, it feeds it to the, For You page, everybody. It doesn't just feed it to your feed. But, so I have a lot of followers on TikTok, but I don't the reason I got those followers, dude, is because I was doing stupid videos. Like
I remember that's how you were building it up back when we were at the gym.
Yeah. And that was when I was like 19, 20.
Dude, I still remember it, man. You did this one. It was you just doing transitions of putting, I think, superhero clothes on. Yeah. And it was like quick. And dude, then it blew up.
Dude, they got like 40 million views.
Yeah.
They got like 5 million likes.
Dude, that's insane.
Dude. And so honestly, that video alone motivated me to make a lot of videos. And I did. After that video, I made like a ton of like funny videos. And like they were like, a lot of them were getting like 1 million views and stuff like that. And then like after a while, obviously I hit like a dry streak of like, not a lot of views. And I think that's why I dwindled off of it. And then I kind of like reflected and I was like, dude, do I want to be known for like making silly content? Yeah. Do I want to be that guy? Which I've kind of went back and forth with that a lot because like, I know I could come up with like funny, silly stuff. Yeah. And I can make funny, silly stuff all day. But now that I'm like, I guess like you could say like, I've gotten a name for myself in the powerlifting realm. Yeah. And like, I've actually have some prestige in that realm. Like, do I really want to like be doing like stupid stuff?
Yeah. I think you could do something like, educational, but entertaining. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or do things that are more that, because that does like obviously attracts more eyeballs.
Right.
Something that, we do a lot in our field of work too, is just, you got to put like value content out, but people will go on social media to be entertained. Right. So if you can kind of blend the two, it just works a lot better. But I will say this kind of side note on social media and TikTok in general, I used to always like get on TikTok and I'm like, oh man, there's all these like bot followers and people with like little cat emojis for their profile pictures. Bro, they're real people. Like straight up, they're real. And I know this for a fact. I'm not going to say who, but I got a really good friend that has a business that promotes his business. And those little people with the like no profiles or anything, they are coming into his business, paying him money and signing up. I mean, these aren't your kids, right? These are like adults that are, probably like late 30s, 40s, 50s that just are on there. They're probably watching things that are like, has things to do with politics or news.
Right. They're just consuming content.
They're consuming content. Right. But he's putting out content that's resonating with them and they're reaching out personally. So I will say kudos to him because he definitely hit the emoji market because these people are real coming in and paying him money. Yeah.
Like no profile pictures, those type of people?
Nothing. Yeah. Not a post. Nothing. And because I asked him, I was like, dude, how you because I know he's not dealing with young kids. I was like, they find you on TikTok? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, have you ever looked at their profile? And that's how he told me. And he's like, oh yeah. I was like, all right, I guess I'll get back on TikTok.
Yeah. I don't know. I still haven't figured out how I want to go about it. I would love to push social media, but I don't know. Obviously, the one way to go about it would just be to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm self-aware. I know that I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just don't know how I want to go about it yet. Which I know it would be beneficial, and I'd obviously make more money from having an audience. Which a lot of people that do make a living from powerlifting or bodybuilding are the ones that have audiences. Yeah. And I feel like I could get to that point. Which like doing that one like streak of me making a bunch of silly stuff.
Yeah.
I was hot. I was.
Yeah.
I still had people like. I went to Austin, Texas, and obviously, so I was there for a powerlifting meet, but I went to a Chipotle, and I walked in. The dude at Chipotle line was like, "Yo, like I've seen you on TikTok," and like this has nothing to do with powerlifting. Like obviously, I'll get recognized for powerlifting at powerlifting meets and stuff.
Yeah,
I'll get recognized there, which is like okay, well, they just follow the sport and they know who I am from the sport because it's a very niche sport.
Yeah,
but like. it was really cool to like be somewhere like Texas, walk into a random Chipotle, and the dude that was working knew who I was from my TikTok. Same thing that happened in Carowinds in Charlotte. Just walk in and somebody was like, yo, I think you had a tutorial on TikTok. And I follow you on TikTok, dude. I was like, really? I'm not that big to be like, oh yeah, you probably see my, like, I'm like, dude, like legit, that's so sick.
Heck
like,
yeah.
That's
but in your niche of world too, I'm sure if people are into that, they know who you are.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. If people follow powerlifting,
yeah,
probably some people still don't like.
Yeah,
I'm not at the top. I'm not the top or anything, but I guess I've like hit enough milestones to be, I guess, relevant at this point.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I love it, man. That's awesome, dude. I mean, you're doing it.
Still climbing. Yeah, we're still climbing.
You got plenty of time. You're young.
Yeah,
dude.
I think I always said about 30. I don't know, man. The best guy right now, I think he's 34.
Okay.
And he's number 1 right now in my weight class.
You got 12 years.
Yeah. And so it's like, at that 12 years, I feel like when you hit the 30 mark, I think people be like, oh man, I shouldn't be able to lift this much anymore. And they kind of like mentally go down. I think it's psychological though.
Yeah. I think bodybuilding's similar, except it's closer to like 40.
Yeah.
I feel like in the 30s, your body's peaking.
You're prime. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you're really good.
Yeah. And then when you start creeping in the 40s, you start to kind of like, I don't know. There are athletes that are still doing decent then, but I really feel like.
Because Ronnie was older when he was in his prime though. He was like mid to late 30s, right?
Yeah. I mean, Dexter Jackson, he was another one. I mean, dude, he was rolling, competing with the pros on the Olympiad while he was in his mid-late 40s, maybe close to 50.
Hold on, what's his name? I'm a blank on his name right now. He competed like not too long ago, and he's like really up there. He's a dark sport athlete. Bald now. Devroni.
Kevin
DeVrone. Is it Kevin DeVrone?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dude, he's also a genetic freak, but
yeah.
Dude, he went and competed when he was, I don't know how old he is now, but he competed not too long ago and looked amazing.
Yeah. Some of these guys work smarter, man. A lot of people like Ronnie Coleman, man, he just wrecked his body.
Yeah, that wasn't smart.
Yeah. He was doing that, what did we call it earlier? The power building. That's what he did. Ruined him.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm excited to kind of see what you do. Where can everybody find you? Like your Instagram handle, YouTube?
My Instagram handle is Brandon Jones _4. And then YouTube, dang, I don't even know what my YouTube handle. If you just type in Brandon Jones Powerlifting, I'll pop up.
Well, I'll link it actually in the descriptions.
Okay, sweet.
I'll link it, and then people can check you out and follow you. So that's going to be your incentive to like start posting more.
Yeah.
So people can like follow the journey.
Right.
I think you should do one like maybe even like 1 week leading up into the show. I think it'd be really interesting to show your carb load 2 hours before, just stuffing your face.
Dude,
with carbs.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I'd be really like, I don't know, to me, I'm just like, dude, how do you shoveling a loaf of white bread down? And
yeah, it's literally just as much as you can. But like, honestly, so I did that for last year's Worlds. I did a video every week I did a series leading into Worlds.
Yeah.
And then like that last 2 weeks, I was like, all right, now everything's focused on just winning.
Hell yeah.
And so, I feel like I can get back on it. I need to get back on it. I know it's just excuses on my end. Like I said, I'm like pretty self-aware about it. I need to lock back in on it, man. I think a lot of times with social media, it's like, oh man, people are going to think this is like lame or like, you know what I'm saying? You kind of get in your own head a lot before you post anything. I feel like that's with everybody though.
I do that all the time. Mm-hmm. But I'd rather just post and see, try to learn and see what works and what doesn't work. Because, I think a lot of people get so caught up in like, oh, what if people don't like it or this and that? I'm like, dude, if you don't have a following, what does it really matter? Like ain't nobody seeing it anyways.
Yeah.
So I can imagine if you had like 1 million, then maybe you'd be a little more cautious, or at that point you just don't care anymore.
I think for me, recently, dude, I started having like a lot of like people I respect a lot, like people that I was looking up to before I got anywhere with powerlifting. People I was looking up to follow me now. And so it's like, dude, the stuff that I post, they're going to see. Like, I just respect them so much. Like, their opinions I kind of like respect in a way, which obviously I should still like, I'm still like, I should still be able to like, I'm posting whatever.
Yeah.
But I know that was another factor I took into account after getting to a certain point. I was like, dang, man, like, always people are looking at my stuff, man. They're going to think,
Yeah.
think I'm a fool.
I mean, I'll say this, kind of closing out too, man, just be true to yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing. I've been in 3 different mentorship groups. Social media is a big learning curve for everybody. Always people trying to figure things out. And there's a lot of people that will say, I mean, there's one specifically that this individual was giving a talk on how to she blew up her business and her social media. And she was like, I started trying to piss people off.
Dude.
And when I look at her comments, half of them, dude, people are not happy with it. And I get it. You either are for her style or you're not. But to me, I don't want to piss people off. I'll say what I believe in and stand true to it, but I'm not going intentionally trying to disrupt people's days. That's just not my style.
Dude, that's honestly so smart because it gets people going.
Yeah.
Because people for some reason, people love commenting. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude.
Hateful
and
stuff.
that kicks up the algorithm crazy.
It shoots it up because once you start getting a bunch of comments, they're pushing it out more and more and more. Yeah. Especially if they're hateful, they're gonna stay on it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so that's actually really smart.
I mean,
I'll keep that in the chamber.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I got a good friend, Tony Gonzalez, too, who's over in Bowling Springs, and he's very adamant and believes very strongly in pushing men to work out and train. And, being overweight is not okay. You shouldn't accept being just overweight, unhealthy, and you expect your life is miserable. He's really adamant and he's passionate about it, and you can tell. And his comments are either, dude, they love him or they don't like him. Yeah. And it just puts a really big wedge in the middle. But I think his style works really well. And it works well for him, obviously. His following's massive. So,
sick.
So I say that to say, just be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, of course.
This was good. I almost felt like we could have went a whole another hour.
Yeah, we could. I could keep yapping, man.
We'll do another season.
So I could stay in the gym for that long. This could keep going.
Yeah, no. Actually, if you guys didn't know, this was in between his set. So he's about to go hit his second set right now.
Yeah, I got my top set I'm about to go hit right now. So you just added to it. Now it's a 6-hour session.
No, I appreciate you, man. So thank you. And
thank you for having me on. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to do some stuff. Maybe get you in here one day.
Yeah, I'd love to come in here. It'd be fun.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you, brother.